I'm gonna try to record this while I'm outside with no makeup, and I'm going to talk about conditioning. I'm babysitting a small dog and a bigger one over there, if you can see him. And I actually have a cabin that me and my boyfriend are renovating. So I'm outside now in the garden, sunbathing a bit. Yeah, okay. So conditioning. I'm gonna fill in if I can actually talk about this at this moment, because I've been feeling a call to record, but I'm having some resistance to actually sitting down and recording. And I would like to be able to do this without having too much preparation, or just talking if I feel the need to do it. And I think I can. So let's begin. So conditioning is the formation of the ego through your whole life, like from your birth until your present self. And the conditioning is necessary in order for us to be civilized as a group and live together in a structure that is our cities. So it is necessary, unless it's like we have a tribe. A tribe needs to be hierarchical. There needs to be an alpha, there needs to be an omega, there needs to be this leadership role and keeping the others safe. The structure needs to be that way in order for the group to survive, basically. And if we picture this, if we zoom out, we're so many people now living together, and we're also wanting to have our separateness as our individual rights. We want to create a small tribe in the larger tribe, and in order to do that, in order for us to have that hierarchical structure, we need certain rules that are implemented by our governments. The tribe is so amplified that rules have been made, and the rules are agreed upon, and the rules are trying to control our instinctual selves to just render upon stimulation, just instead of just being ruled by instinct. We need to now have a consciousness that regulates us so that we can play by the tribe's rules. And how this has been implemented is that we are formed or disciplined by the disciplinary system of shaming us if we're not doing what we have all agreed upon, and rewarding us if we are doing what we've agreed upon. Because another disciplinary system is not as efficient at this point. We're not as evolved to a point where we can actually control our children in another disciplinary manner. And even if there is one, we haven't been able to this point, make it mainstream. So what I mean by this is that if we do something that is inappropriate, let's say we're scolded or shamed by our parents, or in like the school class, for example, if we do something, we say something inappropriate in class, the teacher will reprimand us in front of the class or afterwards, in a way that it will teach us that that action is not correct. And if we internalize that lesson, we will not do it in the future, because when we are about to do that thing in the future, it will evoke the memory and it will suppress that urge. And that is the body's unconscious effort in keeping us safe. It wants to keep us safe. So it develops this inner disciplinarian that is formed from all of these experiences that have taught us what to do and what not to do, to not be jeopardized of being shamed and isolated from the group. And this disciplinary system has formed us into our ego, our identified self, and has allowed us to find a place in society, in the large tribe. And this is what most of us are identified with. We think we are totally that part, and it's basically is only existent if we think about the past or try to predict the future. It is never present if we are present in the here and now, because the here and now only can be conscious of our impressions. So it's only existing in our mind based on a feeling of the past. So that's why in spirituality they say that we are not our ego, we are more than that, we are also our soul. And the soul is the essence parts, the essence that we feel when we are actually present. And it becomes problematic when the inner disciplinarian is unconscious and also so internalized that it's kind of like bullying us. It's become very critical and makes us actually feel unsafe. And why it does this is because maybe we have some traumatic past that made us feel like there's something wrong with us. Or maybe it is something passed on by our parents that we're supposed to metabolize and let go of. It is part of our life's soul contract that we're supposed to experience this. The trap here is that we feel like a victim to our circumstances and our minds, and that victimhood is making us feel like it's the world's fault. No, not mine. It's the world and the circumstances that make me feel like this way. And that is the opposite of empowering. It makes us feel like we don't have a choice. We're supposed to experience this part over and over again. And the reason why we feel the victim mentality at first is also a way for the inner disciplinarian to protect us, because it can't possibly imagine that this is all self-inflicted, like that we have suppressed this part of us and limited us. It can't possibly imagine this being true, because if it is true, there is no excuse for all of the beliefs that we have formed upon us, that they are all imaginary. It doesn't believe them all. So we need to go through process of integration, where we dissolve every belief that we have. Every belief that the inner disciplinarian is necessary to keep us safe needs to be dissolved. It needs to be questioned, because it's like an onion. There's so many layers that it's gonna take a long time, and the fastest way to do that is to work with our sense of security, so that we feel enough safety to meet that inner disciplinarian, and then start to reprogram that inner disciplinarian, so that we feel safe enough to embrace our soul part of ourselves. And the most efficient way to do this is by using the spiritual concept of root chakra. And the root chakra is the first chakra of the 7 that are most common, and it's the first step to go and to face if we want to reach enlightenment, which is basically having all the chakras balanced and being open and receptive, so that we can receive everything that we're supposed to receive as energetic beings. But everyone, or most likely everyone, have them unbalanced, and they're supposed to be unbalanced because that's the way the human condition is disciplining us. So we need to go through this evolutionary path of unblocking all of them, and the root chakra is the first one and the most important one, because if we don't dissolve every belief, every limiting belief in the root chakra from the inner disciplinarian, we will not be able to hold the other chakras. And this will take a long time, like most likely will take a year, 2 years, like it's so much things here. And we can force ourselves to start to trust that it's safe to heal our root chakra by doing unconscious work, so that we're forced into this field. And you can do that by listening to grounding meditations on YouTube, for example, finding root chakra healings for 10 minutes and doing them every day and night for minimum of a month. And you can also, on top of doing the meditation, because I think the meditation is kind of like essential in order for you to reprogram yourself. You can do it in other ways, but then you will have to pay up a lot of money to get coaching from someone. And if you have the money, then that's great. But if you don't, you have to be disciplined and do it regularly, because if you don't, you're not committed enough to actually change. So you do the thing regularly and build up this resilience and showing up to actually embodying the safety for your root chakra to heal. And when you've done that enough, you can go higher, you can go up the evolutionary spiritual path. But you really need to focus on the root chakra first, because if you don't have the sense of security, like think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a very established psychology module. Firstly is our physical needs like food, sleep, and so on. And then we have that sense of security. That is the next step in order for us to be able to even go higher to self-actualization. It's a very basic structure, but it is the same in the chakra system. We need to have that safe stability. If we don't, the cells in our body will not be prioritizing healing if it doesn't feel safe. It will not be prioritizing making money if it doesn't feel safe. It will not prioritize being healthy if it's constantly under chronic stress, believing that everything is dangerous, because your inner disciplinarian is so hyper alert because it's afraid that it will be isolated and possibly die. So we need to build ourselves up from the ground, meet ourselves and meet our needs, and not being the victim and blaming our parents for not being able to show us this, and give ourselves that stability, that anchoring in the present moment, because if we don't have that, we don't have anything. That is the first step. You can't skip this step. It's like this is a non-negotiable step. You cannot skip this. I'm saying it here and now. You cannot skip this. You will face, if you don't do this, you will eventually have health issues, and that's no joke. Like, it begins with you having pain in your body, and then you will make worse decisions because you can't be present in your body. You will neglect your body. You will make worse and worse life decisions. You will eat more poorly. That is the nature being angry. You will make worse and worse life decisions, and then you will eventually get diseases. This is not in harmony. So non-negotiable need to give yourself safety. So I hope this landed well for you, and this is an important lesson that I'm learning now in my Saturn return, that this is like, you can't skip this part. You really can't. You don't have a choice. You need to face your sense of security in the world, and you will be surprised that it's not actually something bad. It's actually giving you the sense of pleasure that you've always been seeking for, maybe in other people, in money, in like distractions, watching something on Netflix. Like, that's all just temporary, and eventually leading to you suffering, because it's not sustainable. It's outside yourself. But what the root chakra will teach you is that you can have that anchoring feeling in yourself, and when you're doing everything else, you will be a bit more detached to that situation, because you will have that fulfillment feeling in your body. So it's actually an action of self-love. Okay, I think that is what I wanted to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.